Welcome back to another edition of the Rider Rumblings podcast, episode 177. I am Taylor Shire. He is Darrell Davis, and we're talking about the Saskatchewan Roughriders beating the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and sweeping them in the home-and-home series with a 21-13 win in the Banjo Bowl. Where do you want to start this week, Darrell? Lots to talk about, hey?
Is there ever?
Again.
It's amazing that the sweep, first sweep since 2018, first time they won the Banjo Bowl in Winnipeg. A good sign for the Roughriders. They've beaten basically everybody except Calgary and Ottawa. They get another chance at Ottawa, I think, right? So so many things happened. It wasn't a work of art, was it, that game in Winnipeg?
No.
But they did it. You know, their offense wasn't great. Their defense was pretty good, as it always is, holding the Bombers to 13. I think the huge thing we have to talk about, though, is just to get it out of the way, Zach Collaros got knocked out of the game, the Winnipeg quarterback, and the Bombers aren't the same team without him. And the penalty that CJ Rivas took for hitting Collaros has become a real contentious issue. How did you see that one?
Right when I saw it, I said that was a clean hit, but I also sometimes watch football like it's 2010 when that was a clean hit. Same kind of as hockey, right? How all the hitting to the head rules have completely changed, where back not even a few years ago, you'd see all these big hits and they were clean, I guess you'd call them. And this wasn't a dirty hit that CJ Rivas laid on him. He did everything, I thought, by the book, and until his face mask hit the side of Collaros. And I don't know what else CJ Rivas would do other than maybe lower his shoulder and spear him right in the gut. But make sure you don't lead with the crown, because you could get fined, even suspended, if you lead with the crown of your helmet. Push him over. I wrote about after he could have walked up and pushed him over. Obviously not going to do that in a full speed football game, but maybe that's the one thing to not get penalized, is you just walk up to a guy and push him with two hands and see if he falls over. He's probably not going to fall over. So, and they didn't call it on the field. And I think that sometimes is an indication of how the refs viewed the hit. It was a big hit. There was no targeting. He went right at him. And it was, I thought, a clean hit, but based on the rules, if he does hit a quarterback in the head, I guess the flag needs to be thrown.
Yeah, there's not much room for leeway, is it? Yeah. And when you see it on replay, you can see that there's helmet-to-helmet contact. It's a hit to the head, and that's what the rules say should be assessed as a roughing the passer penalty. I think because of, and like you, during the game, it didn't look like a penalty. You had to take the review of it. And when it goes to the command center, and you know what I think about the command center and reviews, and I call it the God Center, because all of a sudden it just jumps into the game and takes over, which it did again. And they look at the play and they say, you know, Zach Collaros is down. History of concussions, great quarterback, legendary quarterback in this league. And he's lying there crumpled on the field. And they're looking at a play where there's contact, helmet to helmet. They have to call a penalty, right? Because Collaros left the game. So he's out of the game. What if it's season over? What if it's career ending? And I know that Milt Stiegel on TSN talked about maybe ending. Zach Collaros should walk away. And we've had this discussion a few times too. Maybe he should have left after Saskatchewan, but he won Grey Cups and came back to health, which I'm glad he's able to do that. But you look at that, and the CFL, there's no way in the world that the CFL would say, Zach Collaros, our legendary quarterback, has left the game, left his career, left the season, whatever it is, and we did not give a penalty on a helmet-to-helmet hit. They had to make that call just for the sake of their conscience and the sake of the sanity. That if you're going to be honest about protecting heads of people who play, especially the quarterbacks, they had to call that. And as you said, it's written in the rules that way, so it had to be called. And I hope we all hope Zach Collaros is okay, because a good player, good person, and all the things that go along with it. But it still had to be called, and it could have changed the game around. Yeah, well, it did, because it didn't really change it. The Riders were kind of getting control of the game, but with Chris Streveling, the Bombers just aren't the same offense, are they?
Yeah, I think Winnipeg would have won that game had Collaros stayed in the game. I think they were doing enough, and sure, Saskatchewan was coming on a little bit, but it just completely changed the complexity of the rest of the game, and Saskatchewan didn't win by a whole bunch. Had Collaros been in there, I don't know if the game obviously would have played out completely differently, but I still think the Bombers would have held on at home. Everything was kind of stacked against Saskatchewan, as it always is in the Banjo Bowl, and the Riders, I think they played, we talk about, like, you know, it wasn't as exciting and everything, but again, referencing hockey, anytime you want to go on the road and play a gritty road game, right? That was kind of how I thought Saskatchewan played, just kind of a gritty road game, kind of dug in. Their defense dug in late, didn't give up a second half point, and they played effectively in the second half. Yeah, and I think that hit, to me, changed the outcome of the game.
Totally agree with you. And 4 interceptions by the secondary, right? Devon Campbell gets 2 more. Fields and Sales each get an interception. Crucial timing on their interceptions too. So the defense made plays when they had to. There's pressure coming. That defensive line was still pretty solid, especially blitzing Revis as much as they do. And I think I tend to agree with you on that one, Taylor. That I think Winnipeg could have won that. Probably was on track to win that game, but certainly after that hit and after Collaros left the game, he didn't reappear on the sidelines. It made a difference, though, to the outcome of the game. Reporters saw Collaros walking around inside the locker room afterwards. So in that case, his health is at least okay, that he's mobile. He kind of jogged off the field. But it certainly made a difference. And even a missed convert and a boneheaded return play by Mario Alford couldn't hurt the Roughriders on this day. Hey?
Yeah, and an eye roll. And when going back to Zach, when I saw him jog off the field, I was like, the competitor in him wants to jog off the field, but if you're the medical staff, why are you letting him jog off the field?
Yeah. Football player mentality, right? We've seen that with Trevor Harris too. I'm okay. No.
Trevor Harris, Kadeem Carey, gets his knee blown up and says, "No, I'm walking off the field on my own." Walking off the field is one thing, but I don't know if you should be jogging after you get your bell rung. We don't know if it's a concussion or what. Sometimes you just get your bell rung and you get up and whatnot, but. Yeah, I was like, I don't know if he should be jogging, but
good point. Good point.
And as for Trevor Harris, like I didn't think he looked comfortable early in that game and had that one interception early. And I thought Winnipeg's defense, they had a good game plan for what they saw last week and how they approached this week. I thought offensively and defensively, Winnipeg was the better prepared. And, well, I guess they executed better early. They made Harris uncomfortable. They ran the ball a lot more, and they looked like the better team in the first half.
Yeah, they used Brady Oliveira more effectively because they didn't use him at all in the Labor Day Classic, right? So the fact that they were running the ball with him really made a difference. But you're right. There's been a couple of teams that have been able to shut down Trevor Harris. Calgary's done a pretty good job on it, and it's because of the pass rush more than anything, right? Mm-hmm. He's quick to release, but if you can take away that very first look of his, then you got a chance to get him. And I think that's what Winnipeg was intent on doing. And Willie Jefferson, man, he's still how he does it. He's the tallest, big guy, and I still say he may be one of the best defensive players I've ever seen in the Canadian Football League. Mm-hmm. And I know he's aging a little bit, but still effective, isn't he? Those pass knockdowns and just the pressure he puts on opposing quarterbacks. And I think that's probably why Trevor Harris wasn't as sound as usual, but they were able to get a few big plays. The big pass to Robustelli that got them out of their own zone was a big one. And Keyshawn Johnson made some really tough catches for them, I thought, too, throughout the game. So the Riders got saved by a couple of big plays, but I do agree. I think Winnipeg might have won that. We'll never know, and we'll probably get chastised for saying that. But I think Winnipeg was on track to have a chance at a victory anyway.
Yeah, and going back to Willie, I think knockdowns, especially on even in all defensive players, knockdowns should be tracked way more than they are. Mm-hmm. They should be equal, if not better, than sacks.
Yeah.
Sometimes sacks are the product of your teammate doing one thing and you just being in the right spot, right? Somebody gets double teamed, you're opened up, and you have a clear space to just go tackle a player. But a knockdown, and I think Willie is he leads the league in knockdowns. He doesn't bull rush all the time. He'll go up and then he'll drop back and just put up his hand. Yes. And just how he can do that.
How tall? You got to throw 10 feet in the air to get over top of him, right?
And I just think that should be we always talk about, okay, if you're a defensive lineman, how many sacks do you have? And that's just the golden measuring stick that we do. But knockdowns need to be way up higher in the weekly stats or whatever you want to call it. How many knockdowns does this guy have? How many sacks does he have? That should be like a 1A, 1B. Because knockdowns are so far, you barely can find the stats on the knockdowns.
Yeah, they are in there. You're right. But it's a huge one. What an art it is, too, in terms of timing. Even if you're rushing and then you realize he's throwing, you got to put your arms up. There are certain guys who can do that. And Willie Jefferson's as good as I've ever seen. There's a lot people who sometimes I'll harken back to a long time ago. There was a linebacker here from Vanderbilt named Gary Rogers, played for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And he was like that too. He wasn't the best player in the world, but he was one of those guys, he'd come charging in or he'd back up into coverage and he could just tell. And that's what Willie Jefferson's able to do, that he just knows when to put his arms up. And with Willie Jefferson's range, it's amazing, the knockdowns. And Gary Rogers did the same thing. It was really impressive. It's timing. It's an art form of some sort. And you just have to have that little clock in your head that says, oh, now, and put it up. Because if your arm's up too early, the quarterback's going to loft it over, right? So it's just perfect timing. And it should be a stat. You're right. It's one that maybe we should keep closer track of. But those big, tall guys will probably get more knockdowns than the short little guys. Yeah.
It is tracked, but it's just not like out there every time, like sacks are, right? He had a 3-sack game. Amazing. Going back to, in the defensive backfield, it's a little bit different because knockdowns, I think, are tracked a little bit more. Interceptions are obviously still higher, but Roland Milligan had a probably touchdown saving knockdown.
Beautiful knockdown, right?
And that, also could have changed the complexity of the game.
Sometimes a knockdown, though, is a pass that a defensive back had in his arms and dropped, right? So there's a difference. The Willie Jefferson one is really impressive. The one that a defensive back drops isn't quite so impressive, and they'd both be worth the same numbers, but still important that you're in the right spot. And you're right about Milligan's. What a great knockdown that was. He's really good. He didn't. You couldn't even see him doing it. Same type of timing we talk about with Willie Jefferson. All of a sudden, there were his hands knocking the ball away. Didn't have his hand on the receiver at all. Just hit the football, and amazing to avoid a pass interference call and to get that knockdown.
Yeah, and Devon Campbell did have 2 interceptions after getting one late in the fourth quarter last week in the Labor Day Classic. He got
they only picked 2 in CFL history.
Yeah, I wrote about it midway through the season that he was the team's top Canadian so far, and I think he's now head and shoulders above AJ Allen for the top Canadian end. They didn't have a lot of off-season pickups this year, but quite a few. Mike Rose, Shane Ray, but Devon Campbell has easily been the best off-season pickup for this team, especially at a position, and I wrote about that, especially at a position that was in flux last year. He's completely solidified that.
Yeah, and when Sales gets hurt, which he did, he goes to the short side of the field too. So he's capable. They have no qualms about playing him on either side of the field. He's done a tremendous job. You're right. And it's funny to watch because he still gives a little bit of cushion because he's so fast. He's got the most amazing closing speed, and I think that he lulls quarterbacks into throwing the football a little bit because he knows he can catch up to the receiver and intercept it or knock the pass down. Right. So amazing, a really good player. It was interesting that Corey Mace was so interested in bringing him back, and we see why now because he's got some life left in him, and he's certainly helped solidify the Riders' defensive backfield.
Yeah, and he's got 6 interceptions. I mean, it's probably too early to talk about top defensive player in the league, but he's going to be in the voting, especially if he gets a few more. I think Roland Milligan had 8 last year, and obviously did a bunch of other things great, but he was named the Defensive Player of the Year for his incredible season. If Campbell somehow, Milligan has 4 already this year, so if it's going to be a good race even between teammates for the top defensive player award.
Yeah, Campbell leads the league with 6, right?
Yeah,
6 picks. Pretty impressive.
Yep. So going back to, I want to talk about that Mario Alford missed field goal return blunder. You just got to go upfield, right? You just and sometimes you say, "Oh, I'm gonna be tackled," or "I'm gonna run out of bounds at the 10-yard line," and that is not great, but it's better than the alternative of going backwards. Had he made that one guy miss, he very well could have had a touchdown, but he didn't make that one guy miss.
Yeah. I laughed and I wrote about it. And you and I were laughing before we started the podcast, watching Corey Mace on the sidelines just roll his head around and go I was so amazed he kept his composure, which is a real credit to Corey Mace. And I'm sure he said something to him because Mario Alford had a costly fumble in the Labor Day Classic the game before when he shouldn't have. All he needed to do was hang on to the football in that case. And now he's in a late game like that. Once again, he makes a silly play. He didn't even run real hard at the start. He was kind of lollygagging around and then danced around and then ran way backwards, went into the end zone and was getting tackled just as he managed to get the ball out to the 1-yard line. Incredibly stupid play. You just cannot do that as a returner. You're right. Even if you're one tackle away, get tackled. Just run it and don't give that other team field position. Don't give up a point, which he almost did. Gave up 2 points. It was just silly, and I'm amazed that since he's come back from injury, it seems like he's trying to impress again. He's trying to remember at the start of the season how well he played. and he did. He earned his spot back. Dre McRae came in and didn't have a great performance when he was replacing Mario Alford as a return specialist. And now Alford is back and seems like he wants to do something that he shouldn't do, shouldn't have to do. Just, we know you can return it, and if you break it, break it. Just run upfield, as you said, Taylor, and take the tackle if you get lost. He left them on the 1 yard line. And props to the offense, to Mark Mueller, the offensive coordinator, to Trevor Harris, the quarterback, and Joe Robustelli for that, a 48-yard pass on a fade route or a double move right after that to get them out of trouble, because they were in panic situation at that stage. And the calmness that they executed that next play really took Mario Alford off the hook, because if they had to, surrender a safety or fumbled or gave up field position, man, Mario Alford would be looking a lot redder in the face. He'd be blushing a lot more than what happened. He made a bad play, and it really could have cost him, but his teammates bailed him out.
Yeah, if they were punting from their end zone, that would have, again, changed the complexity of the game. We won't know, but the offense, I think that was the biggest play of the game when Joe Robustelli made that catch, got out of the end zone. It was like the sigh of relief. I imagine Corey Mace did a sigh of relief after the head roll right prior. But I like what you said about Alford, because I think anytime there's a missed field goal or on a field goal unit, you always get the big guys out there, right, for the blocking. And I think that's what, in the returner's mind, he said, I'm going to try to set something up here. So he tried to go up to the left, and then I thought in his head he had already known that he was going to go around. So he was kind of, that's why he was lollygagging a little bit going up, and then he was going to try to spin it around. But you're only
Don't go backwards, right?
But that's what I mean. If the blocks aren't there, you have to take what is there for you. You can't make something out of nothing. As a returner, you have to credit the 12 guys in front of you or 11 guys in front of you to make the blocks for you to then get a return. It's not up to you to fabricate a return out of nothing if it's not there. And I think I imagine that's what the coaching staff is going to tell them.
I'm thinking so, yeah.
Take what's given to you, sort of thing, right? Don't force it. Sure, if something's there, go hit it, but don't try to go back and forth. Who was that guy? Was it Bashir Livingston? Was he the guy that always would go backwards?
A little bit. He did. He made a.
There was a few returners like back in the 2000s that would always go back and forth and back and forth. And sure, you'd one every 10, you'd return back and find a hole. But man, the amount of lost yards that you can get by just going east to west.
Yeah, how many yards? Well, to be honest, isn't that funny though? That even though he ran backwards, Mario Alford will get yardage, positive yardage on his return game because he got it to the 1 yard line after a missed field goal. So. But he probably gave up 25. Was it 25 yards, maybe 30 from the? How far did he come back?
I don't think it was that. Yeah, 10 maybe, but
20, maybe 20. Okay,
20, yeah.
But just to get out there and then run back into your end zone. My goodness, when you say north south, it means go north.
Yeah,
don't come back and go south.
Northwest is fine too. Northeast, you could go a little. Yeah, don't go south. Yeah, north south does not mean south.
Yeah, when we say north south, we're thinking straight line as opposed to.
We should just say run north, not run south.
Yeah, I think after watching Corey Mace roll his head roll, I think that Mario Alford has been told that after this. I'm pretty sure. Like because on special teams when we grade them, Brett Lather hasn't had a great season. Their returner started the season, Mario Alford, that great kickoff return against Toronto that won the game for them. But the coverage teams have been spectacular. Yep. Give them full credit for that. But there have been some flaws in the special teams, and it's not really the coach's fault. He's taught them right things. There's just some individual performances that are letting down their special teams. But their coverage teams have been excellent all season. So give them credit for that.
Yeah, and Brett had an outstanding game, outstanding game in the field goal department when he was 5 for 5, but this missed convert sort of looms over. And a lot of people, when he missed the convert, were like, oh, this is enough. He's done. Like, get him out of here. He missed a convert.
Oh, man, I got my Texas blew up.
That's what I mean. So then he goes, it's sort of like.
You know why, though, Taylor? Because it was that was 13-12. And
you shouldn't miss a convert to tie the game. I agree.
It just magnified it completely, right? And you think converts are supposed to be automatic. And now we've been seeing the Riders have often gone for 2 points this season, often strategically, or there's a wind in their minds. But that was why I think it got so much attention. You should never miss a convert. But he's only missed 3, to be honest, all season. But that one really shone a light on it. And yes, he was 5 for 5 field goals, good for him. But that one convert will just kind of loom there for a little bit because it was such an important part of timing of that game, it seemed like.
Yeah. And obviously the team and everyone will say, well, he went 5 for 5 and kicked us he basically won the game on his leg in terms of the points. So good performance, but yeah, he will definitely want that one missed convert. And a lot of people always talk about that. What ones did you miss? You're not really excited about the ones you make. Well, what'd you miss?
He says that himself, right?
That can go for many sports. All right, well, the Riders take on the Alouettes on Saturday. Montreal has lost 5 straight, dating back to week 9 when they last played, when Saskatchewan beat them. That started their string of losses. Who knows about the Alouettes quarterback situation, but to me, this is not an easy win for the Riders this week, especially if Davis Alexander somehow comes back. But another good game at home that could extend their winning streak for sure.
Yeah, they're playing well at home too, and they're solid. They talked about that a lot on the broadcast, on the TV broadcast, that the Rough Riders are winning solidly on offense, defense, and special teams. They're getting contributions, which they did from all of them. As you said, Lothar, 15 points. Huge. That's that's most of their points, right? Their defense, once again, was pretty solid against Winnipeg, allowing only 13 points, and the defense was, and the offense got enough. That big Robustelli play, the Keyshawn Johnson catches, AJ Ouellette had enough runs to establish a ground game for them. Even Trevor Harris ran a couple of times. So they did what they needed to do, and that's what a good team should do. And I think that when you bring the Alouettes in here, they're struggling. They're getting people back from injuries. They haven't had as many injuries as the Rough Riders, but they've had the key injuries that have really hurt teams and really hurt the Alouettes. Can they bounce back? Well, they're a better team with Davis Alexander, but he might be rusty going back to play quarterback. So they just seem out of sync, which is funny. They seemed out of sync when the Rough Riders met them the first time too, right? Then that's what started their skid. But I don't think they're quite in Saskatchewan's league coming into this game.
I'm sure they'd like to have Cody Fajardo right about now.
Yeah, the way he's starting to play again, he did a great job. That was quite an upset. Huge game for Edmonton. Yeah. Hurt Calgary. Edmonton beats Calgary, 31-19 in the rematch. And yeah, Cody Fajardo's playing pretty well, and he's capable of it. We knew that. So yeah, you're right. Montreal would say, but they had made their decision. Davis Alexander is their quarterback going forward, and it's tough to fault that. But right now, in hindsight, yes, they'd rather have a healthy quarterback.
All right. Well, we'll see what Saturday's game brings before the Riders then head into a bye week. Darrell, thanks as always for joining the podcast, and have a great week.
See you soon, Taylor. Thanks.